You are welcomed student in this class. This is SST subject and we are ready to read the next chapter, working of institution. In previous some classes, offline classes, we have studied about some headings. First of all, we will glance some headings. For example, a government order, the decision maker, need for political institutions, parliament. Why do we need parliament? We have also known the meaning of parliament and the houses of parliament. Two houses of parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Political executive, political and permanent executive. I think we have studied about some headings in offline classes in the college. Today we will learn about some important point of this heading you are watching on the screen, political and permanent executive. I think you are watching me on the screen. You are watching this screen on your mobile phone, and you will see this video whenever you get chance, and you will get some important facts or things from the topic. So let's start this heading, political and permanent executive. Who are the political and permanent executive in the democracy? We will study. In a democratic country, two categories make up the executive. This is the point you will be read in the form of government. This was the condition in democracy. In democratic country, there are two categories which make up the executive. First, one that is elected by the people. First type of executives elected by the people for a specific period is called the political executive. I think you are understanding the meaning of this line. One that is elected by the people for a specific period is called the political executive. Political leaders who take big decisions fall in these categories. You must know that political leaders who take big decisions in the government fall in this category. Belong to this category. People who are appointed on a long term basis are called the permanent executive. Civil services. People who are appointed on a long term basis are called permanent executive. I think political leaders are not permanent executive, and the people who are appointed long term basis are called permanent executive or civil services. You can call them civil services. People working in civil services are called civil servants. For example, IS, PCS, they remain in office even when the ruling party change. They always we in the offices, no matter the political party is changed or not, they will be in the office always. These officers work under political executive and assist them carrying out the day-to-day administration. These officers work under political executive and assist. Assist means as a helper. They helped they help the leaders, political executive, uh, the day-to-day administration. Why is the minister more powerful than the civil servant? This is the question here. In a democracy, the will of people is supreme. I think all the students know about the power of people, power of citizen in the democracy. In the democracy, the people have supreme power. The minister is an elected representative of the people and thus empower the exercise the will of the people on their behalf. In the democracy, everybody knows that the political leader always work according to the will of the people or the citizen of the country. Minister is finally answerable to the people for all consequences of his or her decision. Minister finally answerable or the responsible to the people for all consequences of his decision. That is why the minister take all the final decisions. The ministers of a country take decision on any type of topics, on any type of conditions. The minister is not and is not expected to be an expert in the matters of our ministry. The minister is not and is not expected to be, they are not expected an expert in the matter of her ministry. The minister takes the advice of expert on all technical matters and then takes the decision. The minister of the country always takes advice from their experts on all technical matters, any type of matters, and then take the decision. After taking the advice, they are able to take the decision on any matter. The next heading is Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Who is Prime Minister and what is the Council of Ministers? We will study about them in this heading. First, there is no direct election to the post of the Prime Minister. This is the main point. You have to note it on your fair notebook. There is no direct election to the post of Prime Minister, or you can call it in short form PM. The President appoints the Prime Minister. Always in democratic countries, President appoints the Prime Minister. He or her is not elected directly by the people of the country. The President appoints the leader of the majority party or the coalition of parties that commands a majority in Lok Sabha as Prime Minister. This is the power of Prime Minister, sorry, President. The President appoints the leader of the majority party. Majority party means the party which has the highest ministers or large number of ministers in the parliament, commands a majority in Lok Sabha as Prime Minister. In case no single party or alliance gets a majority, the President appoints the person most likely to secure majority support. In case no single party or alliance gets a majority, no party can get the majority, the President appoints the person most likely to secure majority support. The President appoints such type of a person who mostly likely to secure majority support. The Prime Minister does not have fixed tenure. He is continuous in power so long as he remains the leader of the majority party or coalition. After the appointment of the Prime Minister, the President appoints other ministers on the advice of the Prime Minister. This is the main point, which are usually from the majority party or the coalition that has the majority in the Lok Sabha. We are reading this word again and again. Coalition. Coalition means organization. Next, the Prime Minister is free to choose ministers as long as they are member of Parliament. That means to say, Prime Minister is free to choose any ministers who are the members of Parliament. A person who is not a member of Parliament can also become a minister, but such a person has to get elected to one of the houses of Parliament within 6 months of appointment as a minister. You have to remind it. The Council of Ministers is the official name for the body that includes all the ministers. It usually has to 60-80 ministers of the different ranks as mentioned below. We will read this line again. You have to know the meaning of this line and understand this line. The Council of Ministers is the official name for the body that includes all the ministers. It usually has 60 to 80 ministers. You have to write it down on your fair notebook. It has 60 to 80 ministers of different rank as mentioned below. What are the ranks of these ministers? We will read about them in the following points, the following lines. The cabinet ministers are usually top level leaders of the ruling party or party who are in charge of the major ministries. Cabinet ministers are usually top level leaders. They are the top level leaders of ruling party. Ruling party means a current party of the country who are charge of the major ministries. The cabinet is the inner ring of the council of ministers and comprises about 25 ministers. It has about 25 ministers. That is called council of ministers. Ministers of state with independent charge are usually in charge of small ministries. The ministers of state with independent charge are usually in charge of smaller minister. They participate in the cabinet meeting only when specially invited. They cannot participate cabinet meeting directly. They will participate in cabinet meeting when they will be called. Next, Ministers of state are the junior ministers who are assigned to assist cabinet ministers and ministers of state with independent charge. Parliamentary democracy in most countries is often known as the cabinet form of government because most of the decisions are taken in cabinet meeting. This is very important point. Parliamentary democracy in most countries is often known as cabinet form of government because most of the decisions are taken in cabinet meeting. Every ministry has secretaries who are civil servants. The secretaries of the ministry are the civil servants. The secretaries provide the necessary background information to the ministers to take decision. I think you are understanding the meaning of this line. The secretaries provide the necessary background, provide the needy background information to ministers to take decisions on any matter. The cabinet as a team is assisted by the cabinet secretariat. Next heading is powers of the prime minister. We will study about the powers of a prime minister of the country. As head of the government, the prime minister has wide ranking powers which are mentioned below. The prime minister is the head of government of the country. First, the prime minister chairs cabinet meetings. He is the head of government. He coordinates the work of different departments. His decisions are final in case disagreement arise between departments. He can take final decisions in case disagreement arise between departments. He exercises general supervision of different ministries. All ministers work under his leadership. The prime minister distribute and redistribute work to the ministers. Next, he has the power to dismiss ministers. This is the power of the prime minister who can easily dismiss the ministers from his cabinet or her cabinet. When the prime minister quiets, the entire ministry quiets. Quiet means still. Next, the president, who is president and what are the powers of president, we will read or study about them in this heading, under this heading. President. The president is the head of the state. You have to know, president is the head of the state, the main person of the state. The president supervises the overall functioning of all the political institutions in India so that they operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. So that they operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. Harmony means understanding. Next, election of president. What is the way of election of the president? The president is not elected directly by the people. There is no direct election to the president. A candidate standing for president's post has to get a majority of vote from members of parliament, MPs, and the members of the legislative assemblies, MLAs, to win the election. Power of president. What are the power of president? All governmental activities take place in the name of the president. All laws and major policy decisions of the government are issued in the name of the president. This is the power of president. All major appointments are made in the name of the president, which include the appointment of the Chief Justice of India, the Judge of the Supreme Court and the High Court of the state, The governors of the state, the election commissioners, ambassadors of the other countries. We have to write down this heading, this point on a fair notebook. All the major appointments are made in the name of presidents, which include the appointments of chief minister, chief justice of India, judge of Supreme Court, the High Court of the state, governors of the state, election commissioners, ambassadors to the other countries. Next, all international treaties and agreements are made in the name of president. The president is the supreme commander of the defense forces of India. He is the supreme commander of defense force of India. The president exercises all these powers only on the advice of council ministers. He cannot exercise uh, his powers without advice of the council ministers. The president can only appoint the prime minister by his or her own will. Next, the judiciary. All the courts at different level in a country put together are called the judiciary. All the courts of the country at different level put together are called judiciary. The Indian judiciary consists of a Supreme Court for the entire nation, high courts in the state, district courts, the courts at the local level also. India has an integrated judiciary, which means the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. Its decisions are binding on all the other court of country. It can take up any dispute. Dispute means fighting between citizens of the country, between citizen and government, between two or more state government, between governments at the union and state level. Next, independence of the judiciary means, and it is not under the control of the legislature or executive. The judges do not act on the direction of the government. They work separately from the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. Not party, not government can control the judges of the courts. The judges of the Supreme Court and High Court are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister. This is the main point. And in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, once a person is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court or High Court, it is nearly impossible to remove him or her from that position. I think you are understanding uh, the meaning of these lines, the English because the English of these lines is very simple. A judge can be removed only by an impeachment motion passed separately by two-thirds member of the two houses of the parliament. Next, power of judiciary. What are the power of judiciary or judges? The judiciary in India is one of the most powerful in the world. The Supreme Court and the High Court have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. They can determine the constitutional validity of any legislation or action of the executive in country when it is challenged before them. This is known as the judicial review. Judicial review, sorry. The Supreme Court of India has also ruled that the core or basic principles of the Constitution cannot be changed by the Parliament. The power and the independence of the Indian judiciary allow it to act as a guardian of the fundamental rights. The Constitution has given us many fundamental rights. Anyone can approach the court if public interest is hurt by the action of the government. This is called public interest litigation. So this is the class. I think you have understood very well about the main points of this chapter. In the next video, we will study about the next chapter of civics. So here we will finish this class. Thanks to watch. Thank you.